Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. We have a legitimate Korean source saying that Tesla's recent deal with Samsung for AI6 may be more of a package deal than everyone was initially expecting. Because not only will Tesla and Samsung be working closely on AI6, but Samsung will also supply OLED displays to Tesla in 2027. The display Samsung is reportedly supplying to Tesla is an 8-inch OLED. Now yes, currently Tesla does have 8-inch screens in the Tesla vehicles for the rear seat passengers. However, those are LCD screens, and frankly, Tesla wouldn't have that much incentive to switch over to OLED in the cars. However, we know that Optimus does have a screen for its face, and Tesla is expecting some external sales possibly as soon as next year, but likely at more significant scales into 2027. And the much anticipated Gen 3 or 3.5 Optimus is expected to feature a display on the face. The source said Optimus is likely to initially be used in industrial settings, so its external display is expected to be particularly useful. It could provide answers to user questions or display the progress of ongoing tasks. And of course, if the business to consumer humanoid robot market flourishes in the future, which would be Optimus in your home, facial displays could be utilized as a conduit for expressing human emotions. Optimus's facial contours are hemispherical, like those of a real human, making them challenging to achieve with LCD. Plus, the upper body of a humanoid robot has to be lightweight for balance, and OLED displays have advantages over LCD in that they require low power consumption. A display industry expert said OLEDs do not require a separate light source for emission, making it easy to manufacture heteromorphic displays. OLEDs are likely to be installed in the face area, not the humanoid torso. And heteromorphic in this case likely just means an irregular shape. Around the time the first deal between Tesla and Samsung was announced, high-ranking Tesla development and procurement officials visited Samsung Display after visiting Samsung Electronics Foundry division, which of course set the expectations for this package deal. It's also been revealed that Samsung Electromechanics, separate from Samsung Electronics and Display, is also pushing to supply camera modules for Tesla's Optimus. And naturally, the level of cooperation between Tesla and Samsung is expected to gradually increase. And finally, the source said Tesla is renowned for pursuing extreme efficiency in its supply chain management. Given this approach, Samsung's component suppliers, which can supply everything from foundries to memory, displays, circuit boards, and cameras, offer significant advantages. Samsung is the only company that can provide advanced process foundries and supply various electronic components at the group level. It can serve as leverage in transactions with major big tech companies. Samsung already had a $4 billion deal with Tesla for the past few years to supply it with AI4, some camera modules, and different memory chips for data and storage processing. And we recently learned about the $16.5 billion deal for AI6. Again, if this report is true, but I do lean that way because this is a legitimate source. We have Samsung set to provide the face for Optimus, Gen 3, and potentially the camera modules as well. OLED stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode, and LCD is Liquid Crystal Display. LCD panels have a lot more rigid structure with a backlight layer, which really just makes them harder to curve without distortion. OLEDs or OLEDs, on the other hand, are said to be self-emissive, which means each pixel lights itself independently without a backlight. And this is what allows for a more flexible, curved, or irregular, again heteromorphic shape with minimal added weight or power consumption. I will say OLED screens do consume less power for dark or mixed content because the pixels can turn off entirely, but if you were to have a screen that's mostly bright all of the time, in that case OLEDs may actually draw more power. But thinking about the use case for Optimus, it's likely to be a face that is mostly black with some white or whatever other colors they use, meaning for this use case it's likely true that OLED will lead to lower power consumption. And if you haven't been tracking the humanoid space closely, that's going to be a critical factor when it comes to battery longevity, overall productivity, and overheating, etc. Another reason why I think this definitely tracks, don't forget one of the main use cases Elon mentioned recently. We covered it a few weeks ago. He talked about healthcare. And in those environments, having Optimus interact with humans in the B2C setting, it's likely going to be important for Optimus to be able to express some human emotions to put people at ease. And then zooming out, whatever the use case, the ability for Optimus to express different states, whether it's confused or maybe it's acknowledging a command given, will make the interactions a lot more intuitive and less robotic. And who knows, 5-10 years from now, maybe Optimus has a way to integrate with smart home systems and the face can show personalized data, whether it's the weather, your schedule, different reminders for the day. I think you guys get the picture of all of the different possibilities with this in the years ahead. And if you're asking why 2027 if Tesla plans to start Optimus Gen 3 production next year, well, simply, Tesla may already have another supplier lined up for initial production, or this supply from Samsung is for a future generation of face capability that won't be required for Tesla's internal factory use, which is likely to be most of the Optimus production throughout 2026. Or Tesla views 2026 as a year of prototype production and continued testing, and internally, Tesla doesn't expect to ship Optimus to an outside customer until 2027. Either way though, Samsung is increasingly becoming a bigger part of Tesla's future, and this is starting to look more like a partnership than just a supplier-customer relationship. Beyond Tesla, I really hope I can drive this point home. Get testing done regularly. Blood work, stool samples, Prenuvo scans, all of it. I'm passionate about this because I had 5 years of my life effectively derailed from a health standpoint because of a parasite that went undiagnosed. This because my doctors ordered all of the wrong tests and were clueless. Having been through this experience, my health will always be of the utmost importance to me, which is why I'm still partnered with AG1, the sponsor of this video. And remember, just like Tesla got big and the haters came out of the woodwork, it's very similar with AG1, so be careful who you listen to. All I'm saying, if you want a high quality, whole food sourced vitamin, mineral, probiotic, and antioxidant daily drink, you will not find a better one than AG1. They now have 3 new flavors, citrus, berry, and tropical, and when you add in the free vitamin D3K2 you'll get using my link below, you end up with a powerful blend of daily goodness to boost your nutritional baseline and a lifesaver when you're on the go. AG1's doctors, scientists, and researchers worked with third parties to study the next-gen formula and found 70% of subjects had an increase in RBC folate levels, 73% saw an increase in vitamin C levels, and AG1 Next Gen was shown to increase healthy bacteria in the gut by 10x. And I'll just say, if your energy levels tend to fluctuate a lot, I would encourage you to try AG1 for a few months to see if it helps with more sustained energy throughout the day. So if you want to give these new AG1 Next Gen flavors a try, you can use my link below or scan the QR code, and you'll also get that free welcome kit worth $76 when you subscribe, which includes 5 travel packs, a shaker, a canister, and a scoop. Enjoy. Tesla announced today on Weibo that the new Model Y L is coming soon. If you are wondering what that thing popping up was, that is a powered armrest for the captain's seats in the second row. It's a fair question. Why would Tesla make a design choice like this that may lead to more service visits? Well, my guess is it has to do with the auto folding seats feature. If you're at the trunk and the armrests are up and they're not motorized, you'd have to walk up to the front and push them down before power folding the seats if you wanted to put something large into the trunk and you needed everything to lay flat before doing so. What do we notice from some of these photos? Well, finally, this vehicle has a black headliner, which is the first time that's brought to the Model Y. We have armrests and cup holders for third row passengers, and there are now 4 additional air vents, 2 for the second row and 2 for the third row. And perhaps most importantly, both the second row captain seats and the third row do indeed fold flat, which is a feature the Model X does not have in terms of the second row captain seats folding flat. In the front, we see the seats have been redesigned to be more comfortable. The headrest area is significantly larger and it looks to be adjustable. and there appears to be more extended support for your legs. In this image, you get a decent view of the current Model Y compared to the new Model Y L. You can see how the rear window is significantly bigger than in the current version. Not only that, but the spoiler in the new Model Y L is also a bit more pronounced. But overall, the question remains, is this new variant going to be big enough for what people have really wanted? To that, I would say, for some people, absolutely. And I do think this vehicle will do very well, but I do not think it is big enough for everybody to satisfy all of the demand for people that were clamoring for Tesla to have a true 3-row SUV. In my opinion, this is still not that. Now, Nick Patane said Elon confirmed in his recent interview at the X Takeover that the new Model Y L would be used in the robotaxi fleet in North America. And I went to double check that and was not able to confirm via the transcript. However, even if Elon has not said anything publicly, I'm definitely expecting this vehicle to make it to North America eventually. The US specifically is the land of the big SUV, so in my mind, there would be no reason for Tesla not to bring this to the US in time. And think about it, for robotaxi and ride hail to have a 3-row vehicle for groups or parties that want to travel together instead of having to hail separate cybercabs or even separate Model Ys. Some other features, as Sawyer pointed out, you have a new hook embedded near the trunk. And you can see on the left the 4 buttons for power folding and power raising second and third row seats. A Chinese blogger added some more context. They said there will still not be any massage functions, no surprise there. The vehicle comes with a continuous damping control suspension. They said heating and ventilation will reportedly be available in the first and second rows, while the third row will have heating only. So it sounds like heated and cooled seats for rows 1 and 2, and then the third row will have heated seats but not cooled. They said the third row space was described as adequate, with a passenger that was 1.78 meters tall, which translates to 5 feet 10 inches, was able to sit with a fist's worth of headroom in the third row. Now, were they slouched? Were they completely upright? We don't know, but that's encouraging at the least. They said both the second and third rows also fold flat to form a large bed, though not as flat as the standard Model Y, which we saw earlier. And for the Chinese models, they have a voice wake-up feature that responds to "Hi Tesla." And an update, as of now, Tesla has officially launched the Model Y L in China. You can see 339,000 yuan. As of time of recording, this is equivalent to about $47,100. Switching to the US configurator, you can see that would actually be more affordable than Tesla's current long-range all-wheel drive. But remember, there's always been price discrepancies between Tesla and China, so when this vehicle comes to North America, and specifically the US, we'll see where Tesla places this vehicle. But as expected on the Chinese configurator, it is now the most expensive Model Y option. Again, using the Chinese equivalent, the Model Y L is about $3,500 more expensive than the long-range all-wheel drive version. You can see the range of the Model Y L is 1 kilometer longer than the all-wheel drive variant on the CLTC cycle. So for other markets, I'm expecting the range to be very similar to the all-wheel drive version now. And the acceleration is 0.2 seconds slower than the all-wheel drive variant. And deliveries of the Model Y L are expected to start next month in China in September. And of course, you can now go on the configurator and play around and see the Model Y L in all of its glory in all of the different paint colors. At least for right now, the white interior option is not available, it's black only. And they're saying light gray premium interior will be available later. But this is translated from Chinese, so something may be getting lost here, but this white circle does indeed look gray. The new Model Y L has 18 speakers and 1 subwoofer, which is compared to 15 speakers and 1 sub for the current Model Y all-wheel drive. And the center screen on the Model Y L is a bit bigger. It's now 16 inches compared to 15.4 inches on the regular Model Ys. So there you have it. And given all of this information, I would be expecting this vehicle to show up in the US market somewhere around that $51,000 mark. And frankly, for all of the upgrades we just went over, including the extra size, it really does seem like an excellent value. Plenty of folks might want it just to have the extra storage space. I think about Ashley and I taking road trips down to Florida, and I would love a bit more space than the current Model Y has. Although that would encourage Ashley to pack more, which Lord knows we don't need. So could Tesla eventually offer this vehicle without the third row and just a bigger trunk with a bench for the second row instead of the captain's chairs? It's certainly possible. It just depends on how much complexity Tesla wants to add, and that will likely depend on the demand for this variant. Waymo's former CEO, John Krafchick, who's now on the board of Rivian, had some more comments about Tesla's robotaxis. He said if they were striving to recreate today's Bay Area Uber experience, it looks like they've absolutely nailed it. For Krafchick, the presence of an employee inside the car is proof that Tesla has yet to show off a real robotaxi service. He said, "Please let me know when Tesla launches a robotaxi. I'm still waiting. It's rather obviously not a robotaxi if there's an employee inside the car." It's like, okay, John, did you forget that Waymo operated with a safety driver for years before going driverless? Because if you didn't know, they did. And look, I've said it before, I get it. Removing the safety monitors is a huge step. But this really is a coping mechanism for skeptics because I've watched every video out there and the safety monitors are very clearly doing nothing 99.9% of the time. And frankly, in some of those 0.01% situations where they have intervened, I think they actually made the situation worse than had the vehicle been left to its own devices. So to say that Tesla doesn't have robotaxis because they're being extra cautious with a safety monitor is just super disingenuous to me. But the reason I understand the criticism is for the 0.001% situations, like where Joe Tetmeyer had that situation with the train crossing and the arm, and had there not been a safety monitor in that instance, we don't know what would have happened, and Tesla just cannot have that. Speaking of Waymo, we now have Uber users that are canceling their rides until they get a driverless Waymo. That's because right now, when you request a ride through Uber, you are not guaranteed to get a Waymo even if you have your preferences set in the proper way. They're saying these driverless vehicles, Waymos, seem to be amassing a contingent of enthusiasts who prefer them over human drivers. Who would have thunk it? A spokesperson for Uber said the company has dozens of vehicles operating in Atlanta now and still about 100 in Austin. But he also said Atlanta will have a fleet of self-driving cars that will grow to hundreds over the next few years. Hundreds, not thousands. So of course, it's not yet the case for everyone, but there is a growing contingent of people who want a driverless vehicle. So once again, another case where Waymo is effectively rolling out the red carpet for Tesla. And it's no surprise, but a Waymo executive over the weekend reiterated its decision to use a suite of LiDAR and radar after saying they've done a lot of research and they're aware of what works and what doesn't, implying that Tesla's camera-only approach will not work. We've been over this dozens of times though. It's really not surprising. Waymo's going to get to keep doubling down as much as they want publicly until Tesla can prove them wrong at scale. So really, the ball is in Tesla's court. Holmars replied to this saying, "You let me know when I can buy a Waymo." And replying to that, Elon said they will switch from claiming Tesla self-driving is fake to Tesla self-driving is unfairly good. Heinrich Zane did a drone flyover of Giga Nevada and spotted this mysterious wrapped item, which appears to be a skateboard that I believe is for a new Tesla Semi variant. Heinrichs did say the other day this was not covered up and he's really not allowed to talk in detail about what this was. But for whatever it's worth, he said his guess was that whatever this actually is may be shipped over to Germany to help them begin with production of the Semi. Not that Giga Berlin would start producing the Semi anytime soon. Of course, the primary ramp will begin in Giga Nevada, but Elon has said a few times that eventually Tesla will likely make the Semi at Giga Berlin too. So could this be a finalized skateboard design or a new variant design that is being shipped off to Giga Berlin? That's the best speculation that we have right now, so as we approach the end of this year, we should continually get more updates like this about the Semi semi-program. As Joe Tetmeyer pointed out, there was a video of a Model Y on the roof of the parking garage at Giga Texas that had the LiDAR validation unit on the roof of the vehicle doing some testing in the parking lot with this bucket. So, likely preparing the fleet for better parking lot behavior and ensuring there are no blind spots with the camera-only system, which would be a significant update I'm expecting with this new FSD model sometime toward the end of September, having much better parking lot behavior. Speaking of that, we'll see if version 14 has pothole avoidance, which the Robotaxi build does appear to have, as you can see in this video that Nick Patane shared. I would love this feature because I already know ahead of time there are 3 to 4 places near my house where I'm going to have to disengage FSD if I want to avoid them. Tesla has adjusted the pricing for the Model S and X vehicles, increasing all trims by $10,000. However, they now come with this Lux package that includes FSD, a 4-year premium service plan that covers wheel and tire protection, windshield protection, and recommended maintenance, free lifetime supercharging, and free lifetime premium connectivity. And look, it's certainly up for debate the value of this package, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. It depends on how long you own the vehicle. It depends on how often you would supercharge. So whether you think the value is $10,000 or $25,000 for this one, to some degree, the beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. But some of the terms for the free supercharging, it cannot be used for commercial purposes, meaning no taxi or rideshare or delivery services. And further, this Lux package cannot be transferred to another vehicle. If you sell or transfer the ownership of your Model S and X, the FSD and whatever is left of the protection plans would automatically transfer to the buyer. And then the free supercharging and free premium connectivity will not transfer with the vehicle and will terminate once the ownership of the Model S or X is transferred. The Model S now starts at $94,990 and the Plaid is $109,990. The Model X starts at $99,990 and the Plaid is $114,990. So yes, that lack of transferability would limit the value you could extract from this package. But if you're somebody that owns your vehicles for a long time, if you travel a lot and would use the supercharger network often, this Lux package for an extra $10,000 could turn out to be an incredible deal. Again, it really just depends on your use case. On this point, Farzad said Tesla should discontinue S and X, move all 3 and Y production from Fremont, flatten the factory, and rebuild it from the ground up to make bots, cybercabs, and drones. His rationale: the profit per square foot of the S and X line is probably abysmal. I have a different viewpoint. I would prefer Tesla keep the Model S and X around even though they're a small part of Tesla's business. I would be very confident in saying even at the small volumes and not utilizing anywhere near 100% of the capacity of the current lines, they are still profit drivers because those production lines are already fully amortized. And now the list price is $100,000 plus. And guess what? Nothing in that Lux package is going to change anything for Tesla from a cost of goods sold perspective. So yes, this move would be a theoretical margin boost for the S and X. Not only that, but people like my wife and I would love to one day upgrade to the Model S and X from the 3 and Y. And don't forget, the S and X can be premium ride, hail, or robotaxi options, which I think would be great to have riders experience to maintain Tesla's image as an aspirational brand. Now yes, I will say I would love to see Tesla do a proper refresh of the S and X, put all of the latest technology in these vehicles and turn them into true flagship options with the latest technology that they get first. And not only that, but I would like to see them turn the X into that proper 3-row variant where you can have even adults sitting in the 3rd row. I'm not holding my breath on that because Tesla clearly has bigger fish to fry with unsupervised and Optimus. But even if Tesla doesn't make those changes and just continually does minor refreshes to the S and X, I would personally prefer Tesla keep them around. Even though the sales are small, I would hate to see Tesla lose any customers from the ecosystem for people that want to go beyond the Model 3 and Y. And don't sleep on the fact that this is one way to ensure these Tesla buyers have access to FSD. FSD. Some are speculating Tesla's going to do the same thing with the Model 3 and Y. I personally do not expect that because, again, Tesla's focus with those vehicles is affordability. But look, once these more affordable models are available, does Tesla want to take the Model Y and Model 3 upmarket a little bit and do something like the Lux package for those vehicles? It's certainly possible. If Tesla were to do that with the current Model Y and 3, the margins go up. All of those buyers have access to FSD, and those vehicles are differentiated even further from the upcoming more affordable variants. So yeah, I'm not expecting the Lux package on the Model Y or 3 right now, but later this year or into 2026, it's certainly possible. This headline was incredibly misleading and it was being shared around. It said Tesla senior VP sells 82% of shares. A long story short, they were talking about Tom Zhu, but what they didn't say is he only sold 82% of newly acquired shares since 2023. Tom had some RSUs vest, he exercised some options, he ended up selling some to pay for taxes, and once all of that dust settled, his overall Tesla stock holdings basically remained unchanged. So no, this is absolutely not some sort of sign of doom and gloom. Green the Only was talking about his service experience and the loaner situation, and given that he has an older premium vehicle, if he could have a loaner of one of the newer ones to see all of the new features, that might encourage him to upgrade. Chris from Tesla said, "We're working quickly to make major improvements to the loaner fleet mix, age, and availability." He also said, "We're making it easier for customers to escalate if needed while in service, and also starting to proactively provide contact info for local leaders." So Tesla's not only improving the loaner fleet availability, but Tesla now has a website dedicated for customer feedback. You can select the area of concern. There's a short answer box to provide whatever feedback you have, and you can also upload pictures. I'll have this link below if you want to bookmark it, or you can just go to ts.la/feedback and it will require you to log in. Tesla's also working to integrate this anytime feedback into the mobile app. Tesla said short feedback loops make all the difference, so keep your suggestions coming. The Cybertruck guy was expressing some understandable complaints about the Cybertruck, and Raj from Tesla said improvements are coming soon. Some of those complaints, FSD being late, no autopilot, no B-pillar sentry, no windshield and tire protection, no actually smart summon, the range extender canceled, and no power share for Powerwall. And then Tyler asked if this could evolve to include general feature requests into a forum that others can upvote, to which Raj said, "Sure, we'll add that to the roadmap and we'll try to ship in a month max." Frankly, I'm a bit surprised Tesla hasn't done something like this already, given how much they do look for customer feedback. But hey, you know what they say, better late than never. And it's not like Tesla hasn't been listening to all of our feedback across social media, it's just this will make it a lot more efficient. Aaron Lee shared this video of Tesla on FSD, and he framed it as FSD nearly crashing, but I would frame it as FSD successfully avoiding a crash that, if a human was driving and not paying close attention, may have resulted in an accident. And you can tell by watching this how much confidence he has in the system, as he basically had no reaction to a very close call. Another thing to point out, FSD handled this incredibly well, because a normal human driver may have swerved to the left and may have hit that black vehicle that was in the left lane. So in this case, slowing down smoothly was the proper maneuver. And in this case, it was executed flawlessly. Elon responded to Warren saying there's no FSD in Thailand, to which Elon said waiting on regulatory approval. Fancy that. I thought this was an important point to make. James Douma said the presence and behavior of other vehicles is a powerful input for FSD. So a lot of times you'll see people talking about FSD doing something improperly and saying how dangerous it would have been, if it turns into the wrong lane. But as I've said before, if there were a vehicle coming in that wrong lane, it's very likely that FSD never would have done that behavior. And again, this is not at all to justify the wrong behavior, but this tendency tendency to extrapolate these devastating hypothetical behaviors is not a wise thing. That's because if the situation was different, the car likely would have behaved differently. Elon did say that Tesla's robotaxi service area is already bigger than any competitors in Austin and the Bay Area. So look, there's a chance this image comparing the two that was shared far and wide is not accurate and not drawn to true scale, because if it was, it's certainly pretty clear that Waymo's service area is still bigger. But honestly, it really doesn't matter that much, and for whatever it's worth to you, Elon does think Tesla's service area is bigger. Miguel asked if the Cybertruck would be a long-term success, to which Holmar said, "Does the world need autonomous trucks?" To that, Elon replied with the 100 emoji. And this is what we've been saying, this gives Tesla another out, not having to sell its vehicles to an end customer. So if for whatever reason Tesla can't bring the pricing of the Cybertruck down in the future and the sales continue to stagnate as they have, eventually Cybertrucks can be added to the robotaxi fleet to, guess what, deliver packages or goods. And now yes, we need to see some improvements of the performance of FSD on the Cybertruck, but I'm very confident in time they'll figure it out. You may have seen that video of a semi-truck that caught fire that was transporting some Tesla vehicles, and of course people were trying to say all of the Tesla vehicles were on fire, which clearly was not the case. Officially, Roshan from Tesla said the third-party logistics semi-truck caught fire first. Thankfully, the driver's okay. Unfortunately, the Teslas sustained damage. We'll be looking to replace the vehicles for our intended customers as soon as we can. A very unfortunate accident. Tesla has launched the wheel and tire protection plan in the United States. It's now offered as a monthly subscription, and the price varies between $12 and $25 per month depending on the vehicle. It covers unlimited tire repairs, wheel or tire replacement, and immediate coverage. The plans are available through the Tesla mobile app under the upgrades and service plans section. Somebody asked if they buy an Optimus, can it cut my hair? To which Elon said yes. Now look, a 3-year-old could cut your hair too. The question is, can it cut it how you want it? After nearly 2 years of labor strikes from the Swedish unions, they have finally said it's softening its stance in its dispute with Tesla. With this, Tesla and the union have opened the door to resolutions that do not involve a collective agreement. Other alternative solutions are now on the table. EF Metall has acknowledged Tesla has already improved working conditions in Sweden since the dispute began. So for now, there's no official word on what comes next, but these strikes are largely over. Tesla stock closed the day at $335.16, up 1.39%, while the NDX was up 0.01%. The volume was 36% below the average. Don't forget, check out AG1 Next Gen and those 3 new flavors linked below for those interested. As always, thank you for supporting the channel in that way. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video. If you did, you can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.